Imagine working a long double shift, your feet sore, your back aching, but you're still smiling because that's your job, serving others. Now imagine a wealthy man, a 65-year-old millionaire, deciding that you, a hardworking waitress, don't deserve respect. Instead of handing you payment like a human being, he pulls coins from his pocket and throws them at you, scattering them across the floor as if you're some kind of beggar. What he didn't know, every single second was being recorded by the crowd around him. This is the story of humiliation, anger, and the unforgettable moment when the tables finally turned. Samantha was 27 years old. She wasn't rich and she didn't pretend to be. She worked 2 jobs, mornings at a local diner and evenings at a fancier restaurant called the Golden Fork, the kind of place where millionaires love to dine, drink wine, and flash their money like trophies. For Samantha, the job wasn't glamorous. She had rent to pay, medical bills piling up from her mother's treatments, and a younger brother in school. Every tip mattered. Every respectful interaction reminded her she was human, even if the long hours made her feel invisible. The restaurant was always busy. Polished marble floors, chandeliers dangling from the ceiling, and soft jazz music playing in the background. Customers wore suits and expensive watches, casually talking about stock markets and vacations in places most people couldn't even find on a map. Samantha had learned how to keep her head high, even when people looked down on her. But that night, that one moment would test her in ways she never imagined. He walked in just past 8 p.m. Mr. Charles Whitman, age 65. A man with white hair, gold cufflinks, and the type of arrogance that entered a room before he did. Charles was a millionaire, real estate, oil investments, old money. People said he had a mansion with more bathrooms than bedrooms. But wealth doesn't always buy class. The host seated him near the center of the restaurant, where everyone could see. That was no accident. Charles liked attention. From the start, Samantha noticed his attitude. He snapped his fingers to call her over. Didn't say please. Didn't even make eye contact. He ordered the most expensive wine without looking at the menu, then sighed loudly if she didn't move fast enough. Still, she smiled. She had learned that in her job, you can't control other people's behavior. Only your own. When the meal ended, Samantha brought the bill. Charles smirked, pulling out his wallet. Everyone in the restaurant knew he was wealthy. He didn't need to prove it. But instead of leaving a tip like a decent person, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of coins. Quarters, nickels, dimes. Slowly, deliberately, he raised his hand and let them fall onto the table, clattering loudly. Then, almost as if it was a game, he flicked a coin at Samantha. It hit her arm and dropped to the floor. "You should be grateful," he sneered. "That's probably more than you make in an hour." The restaurant went silent. Glasses stopped clinking. Forks froze midair. Everyone stared. Samantha's face burned red. She felt the sting of humiliation, not just from the coins, but from the eyes of strangers watching her dignity get trampled. For a second, she thought about ignoring it, just picking up the coins and walking away. That's what she'd been trained to do. Stay professional, swallow pride, survive. But before she could move, a voice cut through the silence. "Excuse me, sir," a woman from the next table said, her voice sharp. "Did you just throw money at her like she's an animal?" Phones came out. Cameras clicked on. In seconds, half the restaurant was recording. Charles scoffed. "Mind your business. I'm paying her. Isn't that what you people want?" You people. 2 words heavy with centuries of weight. Samantha's hands trembled. She wanted to cry, but something inside her shifted. Another man stood up. "That's disgusting. You don't treat anyone like that. She's a human being." No. Others joined in. Murmurs turned into voices. Voices turned into anger. One customer shouted, "Pick it up yourself if you think it's money worth having." Another added, "Apologize to her." The pressure in the room mounted. Charles laughed, trying to brush it off. "You people are too sensitive." But then something happened he didn't expect. A young man, sitting with his family, walked over. He bent down, picked up one of the coins and placed it back on the table. Then he looked Charles dead in the eye. "You think throwing coins makes you powerful?" he said. All it makes you is small. The crowd clapped. The sound grew louder. Someone yelled, "Shame!" Charles shifted uncomfortably. His smug grin started to crack. And then the manager arrived. The manager, a stern woman in her 40s, didn't waste words. She had seen everything, thanks to the sea of cell phones pointing in Charles's direction. "Sir, we don't tolerate disrespect toward our staff. You need to leave." Charles sputtered. "Do you know who I am? I'll buy this place if I want." The manager didn't flinch. "Do you know who we are? People with dignity. Get out." The crowd cheered. Phones kept recording as Charles stood up, red-faced, muttering under his breath. For once, his money couldn't buy his way out of shame. He stormed out of the restaurant, leaving behind not just coins on the floor, but a reputation shattered in front of dozens of witnesses, and soon millions online. Within hours, the video hit social media. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag cointhrower, hashtag respect workers, hashtag viral justice. People across the world condemned Charles's behavior. Comment sections filled with stories from other waiters, waitresses, cashiers, and retail workers who had faced similar humiliation. Local news picked it up, then national outlets. The millionaire who thought he could get away with degrading someone was suddenly infamous. Meanwhile, Samantha? She became a symbol. The restaurant set up a GoFundMe for her and her family. Thousands donated. She received letters of support from strangers across the country. What Charles thought would be a moment of superiority turned into the biggest embarrassment of his life. This story isn't just about one rude millionaire. It's about what happens when ordinary people stand up for what's right. It's about dignity, the kind that no amount of money can buy or take away. And it's about the power of community. One waitress, one act of disrespect, and an entire room of strangers who decided silence was not an option. So the next time you see someone being treated unfairly, remember this story. Sometimes, the crowd's voice is louder than any millionaire's arrogance. Because respect isn't optional. It's human. Backhand index pointing right, what do you think? Did the crowd do the right thing by confronting him? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories that prove justice still exists.